The mid-2000s was an absolutely fantastic time for Transformers, and nowhere is that better exemplified than with the Unicron Trilogy. Seriously, these toys are just big and chunky and really nicely layered in paint and all kinds of lovely presentation, and above all else, they're just really good fun too. My name is Sixo, but more on that later because I cannot tell you how much I've been enjoying this Galaxy Force Live Convoy toy from 2005, aka Cybertron Evac. Now the Takara and Hasbro toys are functionally identical. You do get a little bit of additional paint like here on the Takara version, which is really nice, but I do think that Evac is the better name. Either way though, the presentation on this thing is super nice. Lots of lovely paint, the little red highlight sections there are appreciated. Got some cool little helicopter themed symbols on him as well, and this little rescue logo just there. More paint on the top just here as well, some of which is additional to the Hasbro version. Also really digging the slight sense of translucent blue for the cockpit, and the fact that you can see some little molded seats in there, which is a really cool touch. They just do not do things like that anymore, dare I say. Even at the rear, this is a really remarkably presented toy with some nice crisp white paint, little stripe just there, and some little inset bits of plastic for this little rotor section as well. It also has some little retractable landing gear, so that's a nice touch. And just generally, I think it looks the business. It's like an old school robots in disguise style Transformer, you know, with a real world alt mode and all of that kind of jazz. I'm just absolutely loving the look of this thing. Really nice size and proportions to it all as well. I mean, as I say, it's big and chunky, but it doesn't look overdone or kind of like weirdly proportioned or anything, and actually it feels remarkably cohesive despite the fact that it does obviously transform, and it's stacked with gimmicks. Now the first of those is that little spinning rotor feature, so you just press the button here on the side and have at it. That is undeniably fun. Next you got this little rescue winch thing on the side just there that you can position however you want. It's got a nice little Autobot logo on it just there, and of course if you pull that, a little cord comes out like so, which is really, really neat, and then you can just retract it with the little press of the button. But of course the main gimmick on offer here comes courtesy of the Cyber Planet key, and this thing looks really nice with cool paint, but it's what it activates that is the real fun. So like most of the toys from the Cybertron or Galaxy Force line, you've got a little slot just there where that goes in, and then when you press it in all the way, this is what happens. Top drawer. Yeah, I'm a sucker for pop-out guns on toys at the best of times, but when they're activated with this much fluidity and grace, it's just really appealing. And just all in, even before we get to the robot mode, it leaves me thinking that this is a toy I would have absolutely loved to have experienced as a kid. It's just so much fun. It really feels like something from a bygone era. Speaking of transformation, I'm a big fan of what Evac has got going on here. It just really feels like peak mid-2000s design in many ways. There's a satisfying precision to how everything moves and clicks into place. Nothing feels fiddly or got clearance issues or anything like this. It's just a very well-designed toy, and quite creative as well, if I may say. Particularly in stuff like how the rear fin splits in half and ends up on his back like wings, or how the head slides up. That is just perfection. And ultimately, it all leaves you with an exceptionally handsome robot form as well that looks like nothing else that you really see in any other era of Transformers. It's sort of G1 in its way for that kind of chunky charm, and yet it's still unmistakably Unicron Trilogy. Seriously, we would be lucky if all Transformers toys were this much fun to transform and then looked this good. It's got a very handsome and quite distinctive head sculpt with some little antenna ears, which is really nice, and a cool yellow painted face, and some rather adorable light piping, which isn't the most vibrant, but it does catch the light nicely at the right angle. Again, the robot mode is loaded with little painted highlights and flourishes, just adding up to a really nice colour scheme overall. It's a really attractive blend of colours, but it also just has a great silhouette. And one thing a lot of the toys from this era did really well was that they wore their kibble with pride. They weren't afraid to be Transformers that clearly turned into something, and you see that here. What's also cool is that if you want to, you can flip out these little tail sections to the side, and then that kind of gives him wings if you really want to. I mean, it's certainly a look, it's not going to be for everybody, but I love that it's an option. Alternatively, he does retain all of the gimmicks from his vehicle mode, including this little winch accessory, which doesn't detach, but it's still super cool. Or you can reattach the helicopter blades onto the other arm and activate that as some sort of spinning melee weapon. Alternatively, the Cyber Planet key bit is now in his backpack, so that still pops up those guns, at which point you can move that whole section forward so the launchers sit over his shoulders, and then you can fire the missiles off using spring-loaded action, never to be found again. It's just a true testament to how stacked with play value many of the toys from this era were, but all in a way that felt integrated and worthwhile, and honestly I just wish we could go back to it. The slight trade-off of course is that he's not the most articulated bot, but he does have nice clicky joints and really strong ratchets. And sure, he may not have like an ab crunch or anything like like that, but he's still got everything you need in the arms and legs, and a waist swivel and head swivel as well. And anyway, whilst yes, I do kind of wish this guy had ankle tilt, for example, I'm not sat there bemoaning any kind of lack of articulation when it's just so much fun. I think the trade-off is worth it. And having made it this far in the review, I'm ashamed to say that I've only just now discovered that he's got little extendable legs. Every day's a learning, isn't it? Anyway, the real headline here is how appealing so many of these Unicron Trilogy toys remain today. Not just for people that grew up with them, but also for folks like me who just didn't give them enough attention at the time. But it's been a real voyage of discovery since then, and a very rewarding one too when you got bangers such as these on offer. They also, by the way, knew how to do peak helicopter transformers back then, and I think the fact that just these two look so different is just evidence of how creative it all was. Anyway, a big thank you to TFSource for bringing you today's video. You will find a link to their site down in the description below, and you should absolutely go and check them out for all your Transformers needs. But as for Cybertron Evac, it's definitely one that's going to be staying in my collection, making it an absolute toot by my book, and it's just a reminder of when Transformers toys really leaned into that sense of play. It's an era that many of us kind of wish that we could go back to in many ways. But is this the toy that you would add to your collection, or are you not so sure? I'd love to know. Thanks for watching, and TTFN.